All right. Hey, folks. Welcome back to the Workplace Innovator podcast. It's me, your host, DJ Mike P, with a returning guest, someone I have been looking forward to catching up with for a very long time. In fact, 2 years. It's been exactly 2 years to the day, practically, since she last appeared on this podcast, and a little bit less than that since I saw her in real life in her hometown of London, England. I went across the pond for an amazing event, and we'll, I'm sure, reminisce about it. But everybody, please welcome someone with a new role. She is currently now the global head of strategy, ops, excellence, and performance, and procurement, and real estate and workplace strategy for WPP. And she is Bex Moorhouse. Bex, welcome back to the show.
Oh, listen, thank you so much. I never get a call back usually, so I'm super excited to be asked back for starts.
Usually it's one and done. You have one appearance,
that's it.
And then it's like, let's never invite her back. No, that can't be true. That can't be true. You are the shining star of my LinkedIn feed. Whenever I see a Bex post, smiling, doing workouts, inspiring me to get out of my little hobbit hole here and see the world. And I just love your energy. I've always enjoyed working and chatting with you. So thank you for doing this again. How's everything in London?
Oh, it's so good. Apart from, I've got to talk about the weather. You know how bad the weather is in London all the time. Lots of rain at the moment. I think every day this year has rained so far, somewhere in the UK. But aside from that, we're bringing our own sunshine. So that's all we can do.
You are always walking on sunshine in London, regardless of the cloud cover and the rain. In fact, music is always our point of reference. You've introduced me, Bex. Got to bring it up. Last time we had you on the show, I asked about music and you stumped me. First time that's probably ever happened to DJ Mike P. Now, it happens occasionally, but you brought up the genre of grime and you introduced me to Skepta. And I'm like, now a big fan. It's a little hard for me to listen to. I feel like who's watching when I'm listening to some of the lyrics, but come on. It's awesome.
Yeah. Do you know what? I still love it. JME and then Skepta are still the things. But I'm into, at the moment, Fred Again. So Fred Again is a DJ and he's bringing in all of the kind of vibes of grime. And then he's, mixing over the top of it. And the energy is just unbelievable. So if you don't know Fred Again, check him out.
Another new artist to add to my Spotify list. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and
It Rains, It Pours was the Skepta song I was listening to this morning.
It's so funny. I mean, the funny thing with grime is it only works in London. Like if I listen to grime like somewhere else, it just doesn't it doesn't do the same thing. I remember once running. No, exactly. I remember running once in Australia listening to grime and thinking, no, it's too brutalist and this environment's too nice. So it doesn't work.
Well, I could see that. Yeah, absolutely. But again, I really appreciate the music recommendations. And speaking of music, tying it back to our last time together in I think it was the summer, maybe June of 24, I came over to host and to do an interview at the Ministry, the co-working and experience member club, which was a spinoff of the Ministry of Sound Dance nightclub, which are both still operating today. Have you been back since our time together there, or is it not routine that you do?
Yeah, I've not been back, but what a cool place that was. Like the gym cool. And the breakout space, where people were just having beers and coffees and stuff like that. It was super cool, wasn't it, as a venue?
It was. And it was put on by the Work Tech team. They called it the Unworking Conference. I think that's something they do each year. Have you been involved in any cool events in London with either Work Tech or other organizations?
Yeah, I love Work Tech. I've got to say, like, since the introduction, I've been to quite a few of their events, and I was at the one recently in London, and it was great. Like, very different speakers, a bit of a different take on workplace, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've always had a good philosophical alignment with that team and what they're trying to do. And I've interviewed Philip Ross a few times on the podcast, and really a great leader in our industry. How about, let's talk about your new role, WPP. Yeah. When you were last on, you were doing consulting services. Of course, everybody, I didn't even give you a proper introduction other than share your new title, Bex. But for those that don't know, Bex is a workplace leader, always a light in our industry, sharing about well-being and helping create great spaces and cultures and really helping focus on the people inside our workplaces, which is really what this podcast is all about. And now you have been hired by a huge global entity, WPP. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? I'm absolutely loving it. Like I think when we last spoke, I said to you, I can't imagine working for a corporate anymore. Like I'd been running my own business and I was really, really loving it. But I really miss people. I missed being in a team, leading a team, and, all of the stuff that you can do when you're a leader, like inspiring your team and helping them thrive and all of those bits. I miss that so much. Went to WPP as a contractor first of all and just did a mat cover, and then I was helping them with their transformation of the real estate and workplace services function. And then at the time the CPO, real estate officer, said we want you to stay. And I was like, oh, like really? Like, 'cause it wasn't part of my horizon. But I couldn't say no. I mean, it's such a great job. Great people, incredible buildings as well. They really care about their people. So kind of a win-win, really.
Yeah. Win-win-win, because it's win for you, win for them, and win for us. Now you get to share a whole new set of stories, I'm sure, and experiences with new, responsibilities and opportunities to shape our world of workplace and help the people thrive here in 2026, March of 2026, Bex. It's crazy. When I asked you to come back on the show, you're like, no, Mike, it hasn't been 2 years. There's no way that's possible. But time keeps on moving. What is top of mind for you, Bex, as you do this new role and you're trying to care for people, of course, first, but you have a role, and my listeners can definitely relate to the work you've done. Your history, as I was beginning to say, I don't know if I mentioned it, but Nike, you did a lot of things for Nike before you became an independent consultant, and you're ever present in our industry. But what is new in 2026, or what should we be focused on here in this new world of work in the workplace?
God, do you know what I think? I always talk about this. You know that I come at workplace from a different angle than a lot of people in it. And for me, I think it's all of those, I call them power skills, but people call them soft skills. But I'm like, they're power skills to me. I think empathy and curiosity are the things that we need to continue to keep bringing to what we do. Curiosity, because I say that, I've been in the industry, 25 years. I've been heavy in operations and experience, and I still learn. I'm still looking at people's human behaviors and learning how things need to shift and be different. And I think also going on the WPP contract has been like a real sort of baptism of fire in a way, because my employees are sort of 26, that's the average age, and I'm a 45-year-old lady, and whereas I used to be cool, you're still cool. You're still cool. Where I used to be cool, I'm not anymore. So I think it's just learning, what do people want to see in their workplace, what are they looking for, and how can we not just facilitate that, but how can we create a place that people want to come to and help make that recruitment, which is so hard right now for people to get the right type of staff. How can we help them as a business to grow by creating that right space to incubate all of that talent, basically? And I think that's the main thing from our side. And the empathy bit comes into play because as we bring in more AI to sort of support with our day-to-day stuff related to real estate and workplace services and the procurement pieces, we need to decipher the data and work out how do we stop making everything so transactional and keep adding the human in there. So I think that's where the empathy comes in, really.
I like that. Yeah, Bex, so much there I could unpack and follow up on. You touched on things that I try to do here, being older than you even. I won't put a date on it, but anybody who follows the show could do the math really quickly, because I'm always talking about the 80s and the Breakfast Club. And that's when I was in high school watching that unfold. And but again, I feel like I can relate and be curious and be empathetic, because people are people, as back in the 80s Depeche Mode told us. And there's really so much more we have in common as human beings than not, even if our cultures may be different. Where are you in the world? Our experiences in life could be different. The way we operate in our personal lives, and then trying to bring that individuality to a corporation or an organization where you're part of a team and you have to collaborate and you have to really put aside some of your individual biases and check yourself. And this is what I've learned. You're describing it. If we're going to be successful as a society, as a team, as an organization, as a workplace, don't we have to just kind of get past our own like certainty and be more curious. You mentioned it, and empathy and emotional intelligence. I've just had a guest on recently talking about EQ, and I've talked about it here a lot, but how can we be more emotionally, curious, intelligent, and a better teammate and a better leader?
Yeah. So this is a super interesting one. And it's something that when I tell people about this recently, they're a bit shocked by it. But actually, at WPP, we've got a AI tool called Nadia. So it's a lady called Nadia who is basically there to support you and help you with some of this stuff. And you can put in, like, as a leader, you can put in, the scenario that you find yourself in, and you need, what coaching prompts you could get. And actually, Nadia does a really good job of sitting with you and saying, oh, that's a bit biased, or that's a judgment. You need to come without that space of judgment. And even though I valued my EQ and I thought I was pretty good at it, I'm still learning from Nadia. So I think it's just being curious and also being open to feedback more than anything. Like what works with one person might not work with someone else. And I'm going through at the moment, we're in a lot of change as a team, like we're in this transformation and everything's moving at the speed of light kind of thing. And you get a lot of people saying, yeah, I'm fine. But you can hear in their voice, like the slightly higher voice happening or but you just get a feeling that it's not okay. They're not okay. So it's just asking a couple of times to check in with people and making sure that you're never too busy for your team and for people around you, to make sure that they've got the support that they need, especially when everything's moving so fast. But that's not just happening at WPP, right? That's happening everywhere. This kind of constant evolution and change and everything that's going on in the world as well, that we're supposed to just absorb and keep going with. So, yeah,
really difficult sometimes to adjust and adapt because it happens so fast. But you've, again, so well said. You're telling us to get out of our own way, get out of our comfort zone. That was one of your quotes last time you were on the show, because it really resonated with me, this idea that we can be our own worst enemies, and being more self-aware is something I've really been striving towards. And it's still an imperfect situation. My wife will remind me often of how lacking self-awareness I am. But no, the idea that, bring yourself in the situation with your set of gifts and skills and what you bring to the table as an individual, and then recognize that you can't do it all alone, and you need to be more deliberate about helping to, understand where the other members of the team are coming from. And that's how we thrive. There's so many guests have shared with me the idea of, we each have, like Rex Miller, our genius spark. Yeah. We have these set of talents and gifts and maybe even our personality type that looks at things one way, and then you have others that look at it another way. And that's a strength, not a thing to worry or fear about, right? It's like we can understand and then bring this more collaborative approach and be more successful. So when you're talking to your team or you're talking with people in our community these days, FM, real estate leaders, workplace strategists of all kinds, do you see them struggling with particular things that they need more guidance on than maybe they did 2 years ago or 5 years ago, or even, maybe pre-pandemic? Or is it still the same set of problems, but we just have different tools that we can lean on, like Nadia, like AI? What do you think?
Yeah. Do you know what? I think the thing that I've noticed recently, there's this conversation that keeps coming back up about, should real estate and workplace services be in the C-suite? Like, do they need a seat at the table, and all the conversation that goes with it? And I think that there seems to be, for whatever reason within our industry, this worry about justifying our existence, almost like justifying what we're doing and explaining regularly, like, we're keeping costs down, we're doing X, Y, Z and all of that. And I think, genuinely, I think that we need to understand that, we're the second biggest spend in most companies' budgets, and that actually, like, we don't need to always justify ourselves. Like, there will always be a need for buildings. There will always need, be a place that people come to congregate. And actually, we should invest our energy in less of this kind of justification of what we're doing, and more about actually making impact and worrying about the things that matter. Because I think if you're showing up every day feeling like you need to prove yourself or, stand up to be counted kind of thing, I think you start making decisions for the wrong reasons. And that actually, if you do a great job in terms of delivering an exemplary service for everybody coming through the front door, like ensuring that your buildings are safe and that they're inspiring for employees, like that's what you should be worried about, less about what the stakeholders, senior stakeholders think, and more about the impact that you can have on end users.
I love that. Bex, it's so well said. The idea that we can, and this is what I try to do here, right? We can have a seat at that table, and we should, because we do understand some of the intricacies or the real world applications of policies that are being made, trickled down, or new technology tools that are being introduced, and different goals, different alignment of the workplace strategy. And often it feels like my audience, and you've expressed it quite nicely, is they feel less than able to raise their hand or stand up and say, wait a minute, before we take this step, this direction, this strategy, we need to think about this or consider that. It's a tale as old as time. It's like the old conversations around, we need a seat at the table before, say, a new construction project or before a new workplace design or remodel was going to happen, because the operations and facility management team would be handed this project, and then it'd be like, okay, take care of it now into the future. And like, well, why didn't you do this, that, or the other? And we need to be more collaborative. I think those things are happening. I think what you're touching on, though, is something that is really important. How can we as leaders, or how can my listeners, as people maybe in the middle management role, they have teams that are executing on the operational needs of the facility, but they also report up to finance or HR or wherever, the C-suite. How can they be more confident in what they bring to the table, and how can we inspire them to do that?
Yeah. And I think, we do such a great job in our industry of making it look easy. And sometimes we need to basically be a little bit more like cognizant that, like, we're swans, like we're swimming along, everything looks fine, but gosh, we're kicking underneath. Like, this stuff doesn't happen easily. And I think sometimes we naturally hide our light under a bushel, and we don't really say, look, actually, as part of that program, we saved X amount of money in the program by doing X, Y, Z. And actually, sometimes the business doesn't even want to know that or acknowledge that. So I think it's about understanding every business is different, and every part of that business will have a different language or a different tone of voice that they speak. But I think the number one thing we can do as real estate and workplace professionals is speak the language of the business that we're in. I think we lose people on the journey when we start to talk about occupancy, utilization, and all the things that go with it, because that's not really what the business is bothered about. The business is usually bothered about how many of my people are supposed to be in, how many come in. Do you know what I mean? And those other metrics, they're more like how we operate, but the business doesn't necessarily need to know that. So I think it's being really targeted about, when you do get that seat at the table, talk the language of the business and show how you can help them achieve their goals or their strategy or whatever it is. And all of your stuff that's happening in the background, you need it, it has to happen for your own benefit, but the business doesn't need to necessarily know that. It's like more of a vanity metric that people are pushing forward that wouldn't mean anything to the business, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes total sense. And it's so good, Bex, because I had this conversation recently about, we need to be better storytellers, regardless of the specifics, the role you're in. Think about all this data you have access to, all this information. What does it mean to the person you're trying to communicate with? What does it mean to your boss, to your leadership team, to even the employee base, the workforce that it has to buy in to this new strategy, technology, whatever it might be? Tell the story in a compelling way. And I'm shy about this. I don't want to toot my own horn, the old expression. I don't want to brag or be not humble, but there is something that I can relate to here in doing this for a long, long time. And there are so many, again, big, wide open world of podcasts and thought leadership and content creation on LinkedIn. I'm for it all. I'm a big abundance, philosophy guy. So everybody jump in, everybody start a podcast and be part of this conversation. I'm all for it. But when you talk about vanity metrics and looking at like the numbers, what are the downloads today compared to 5 years ago, or who's clicked on this, or who's engaged with your content. It's so much bigger than just those numbers. It's the story you're telling and communicating. And I think that is relevant when you're trying to be a workplace innovator, as this title, this podcast talks about. You need to be able to communicate effectively and share that story better. And it's something that you're really good at, Bex. I got to give you some props. I've got to give you a little attention here. I was just on your website, bexmoorhouse.com, everybody. Go click on it now and tell me about this. This is a brand new portal for you, platform.
Yeah.
It shares the story across your career journey, all you're doing these days. But how would you want people to perceive this? I think it's fantastic. Congrats. Kudos to you.
So I was saying, wasn't I, Mike, that like this was an uncomfortable thing for me. I'm not going to lie. I thought, oh my God, who does she think she is, just doing her website in her own name? But I just thought, gosh, go for it. Like I've worked so hard to build a community. I've really, really enjoyed the career that I've been in, and I love real estate and workplace services. Like I'm so passionate about it. I can't even begin to, well, I know. I can't begin to say. And I just want to keep trying to attract like new talent into our industry. I think there was some alarming statistics saying that a lot of the people in real estate in particular are getting towards the end of their career, and we may have a shortage of people in the future because, you know, real estate maybe isn't something that you'd think, oh, I'll go into, unless of course maybe your dad was in real estate or your mum was or auntie or whatever. So for me, the website is a place for me to just do blogs, talk about all the different things I'm doing, show some images of like speaking gigs that I do, and just keep trying to inspire people that this is actually a really cool industry to be in. And, you know, it's something that I hope people will aspire to want to keep doing. You know, like it's got legs, right? It's not going anywhere. Like what an industry. I can't think of a single other job that you could do where you could have so much variety. Like, you know, my new job at WPP, I'm doing data reporting one moment, the next I'm in a sustainability meeting, then I'm in a procurement thing, I'm doing a capital project over here. I mean, who else gets that luxury of doing so many amazing things all in one job? So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Every day is a new day, a new adventure. Yeah. And you are a great ambassador, Bex, for this profession and for inspiring my audience. And I love it. Thank you so much for doing it. I can't believe the clock is telling me we've been talking for the time we have allotted. But one more question before I let you go. I always like to ask you, and would love to hear some final thoughts, some practical advice, maybe some action steps that my audience, your colleagues, could take as we head into the future of the workplace together. What would you say?
Oh, I love that. I just think, I think the number one thing, if I could say anything around workplaces, is you have, if you're managing workplaces, you've got a really optimum environment to create what could be the perfect world within those four walls. And wouldn't it be great if you could create a building where everybody feels welcome, like where everybody where everybody sort of feels valued, seen and heard. And that's what I try to do, you know, bringing in employee resource groups, making sure that everybody, whoever that might be, feels welcome when they come in. Like, that's what I'd like to see more of, because one rule doesn't fit everybody, does it? And the people coming into our workplaces are becoming more and more varied, different backgrounds, different ages, and we've got to try to cater for everybody, really. You know, I do get tired of going to a reception and you see like a gentleman or a girl sat behind the desk and they like, morning. You think, come on, bring that energy, like to show me you want me here. Like, and that's what I think we've got that huge gift to be able to do as workplace professionals, especially when we're managing big portfolios, is make sure that everybody is bringing their A game when they step out on the floor and help people that come in, basically. So yeah, very aspirational, but like.
Beautifully said. Perfect. Amazing. Great stuff as always, Bex. And yes, it is a gift to do what you get to do, what I get to do. We all have different roles to play, but together we can move this industry forward, I hope, and inspire and set those aspirational goals. And listen, AI is coming. AI is here. Things are going to continue to change, but things have always changed, everybody. We always have to reinvent ourselves, keep on top of things, adapt, innovate, and you will continue to be valued in your organization and to your team and to the people around you. So no one says it better than Bex Moorhouse. Bex, thank you. I can't thank you enough for being on the show again. Thank you for being on the Workplace Innovator podcast.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure. Nice to see you again, Mike.
Good to see you, and good to see everyone out there. If you're not seeing us, please go to YouTube and watch this conversation. Full video available now at the Aptura YouTube channel. And I hope if you enjoyed this conversation and found something of value in it, you will share this episode with a colleague or a friend, anybody who you think might like to join us as we continue on our journey to encourage and inspire you to be a workplace innovator. Peace out, everybody.